Welcome. This is the Global Summit House podcast. Catch power interviews and discussions with influential, inspiring, and powerful people. Explore what's possible by tuning into this podcast with our all-new The Writers Project episodes, featuring one of the world's most inspired thinkers and writers. Visit our website at www.globalsummithouse.com.
Hello, once again, my good people out there in podcast land. This is another amazing show. I have another fabulous and great guest that I'm very honored to have with me today. This guest here is once upon a time part of the Sherman Park community, somewhere where I also grew up in my own back doors. I'm still here in the Milwaukee area. However, he has since then made his way out west to LA County, southeast that is, where he is overwhelmed by the skateboarding culture, which the youth have definitely spent their time doing over there in LA. Nonetheless, he has taken the initiative to take part of expanding what many Hollywood dances and travelers kick off their shoes to do on the sandy beaches along the Pacific Ocean, and write his first novel. This novel is entitled Beneath the Crimson Maples. He's going to take you on a journey of a person's life that takes many twists and turns before he has become disillusioned with his life, and fear plays a major role. Whether one is raised in a wealthy family or hails from Milwaukee's inner city, it simply does not matter. Thus the same we see in the melting pot here of America itself. So without further ado, let's talk with Mark. So Mark, do me a favor and say your last name for me as well.
Schoedl.
Awesome. Mark Schoedl is
Schoedl. It's a German. Yeah, it's a German name. Yeah, it's a German name.
Yeah, my kids are partially German, so I still struggle with the pronunciation.
Right. OE normally is going to be an A, like Schrader, which is probably the most common name with the OE. Schoedl is not so common. It's not uncommon either. It's we don't hail from any greatness from our motherland, Germany or Ireland. The Egan, which is my mother's maiden name. Anyways, about the story, since I do live out west, I was caught up in the illusions too of Hollywood and all that, and not a whole lot of people make it in that game, and they end up being out here because they've run out of money. So they have, it's almost like being in the inner city in its own way, because you have no money to get back. When I saw all this, this would take me up to the book I've written. The things we're told are not necessarily true, and the people that told you are probably your parents more so than anyone, right, or your friends, but they're just human beings like you are. They're hiding something from you, and you're hiding from them. And I don't like the word goals, because I don't know if there is such a thing, because even if you make goals for investments, say you want to invest your money, things change the next day, no matter, but the people around you are going to make decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Life is about relationship, and we're not the only problem in the world. I've been to other countries, and they have the same problem.
Yeah.
No connectedness, no love, zero love.
That's true.
But they play a good game. You say, it doesn't matter, okay? If you're going to worry about anywhere in the world catching up with us for the good, it's not going to happen. You have to live your life and still have feelings for people, and that's where my book comes into play. I got my American Indian there. I got, the white community, African American community that, comes into play. I have a Chinaman who comes to a synagogue right around 60th and Burleigh, which is right across from St. Joseph's Hospital. Yeah, and then a doctor who's Jewish, he can walk to work because they're all, I see them almost as 19th century.
You really, definitely have a lot of insight into relationships, and you definitely are, speaking to the choir here, so
right.
because
we're all nobodies, dude. We're all nobodies. This thing about being somebody, you hurt people by it, and most importantly, you hurt yourself.
Yes. Because
you isolate. Now you're isolating from people. I look up information on this book that I've written, and okay, they don't tell you it, but when you read it and you document the information when you're writing, it's obvious what our problem is. Take a look in the mirror, the old taxi driver line. And this for ourselves, not for anybody else. Right. And we become vulnerable. But we always were vulnerable, and that's, the old guy, Paul Bogdanov. He's beyond that now. He's trying to be a human being. He was a drunk, and you don't know how many drunks there are until you do age a little bit. My God, they're everywhere. Oh, not just junkies, okay? Not shunned upon because it's legal. What does that have to do with anything? It's still just as wrong. It's just, there's no, one's not better than the other, okay? Okay, the government's collecting taxes from the alcohol and not the heroin or the cocaine or the ecstasy, whatever it is. So what? It's the same, okay? He was from the Kiowa tribe. So he was from Oklahoma. He's 50 years old now. He moves back into Illinois. A lot of Indians do not sit on the reservation, probably 40 to 50%, but the rest move out of it because they just want to be like everybody else, right? I mean, they don't want to live in Oklahoma anymore. They had those, the Lion King, that stuff going on recently, but they got a lot of acreage of nothing, so the land's cheap. But Kurt Taniqua comes out. Right, the book's supposed to take place. It does. It's only mentioned, I think, once in the book, 2013. I wanted to have that on the title of my book. They said no. Okay, so all right. Well, I go along with what you say. But he's taking samples of, water samples up under Des Plaines River and there's other creeks that run into Des Plaines before it gets into Lake Michigan. And the thing is, okay, when they had a major federal decision on an area, I just walked into it one day in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And what is this? Okay, Kerr McGee is the name of the company. They had a fence around the area. It's about the size of probably 4 baseball fields, but they have fences, like advertising fences all around it. The name Kerr McGee, right? I thought, it's a big deal, right? Kerr McGee is notorious. They're for just taking their waste and just dumping wherever they want. Right. I mean, they're still doing it in some regards. I mean, what is wrong with us? Okay, Kerr McGee was bought out, so then of course, Anadarko, they're a major drilling firm going to be bought out recently. I mean, within the last 2 years, by the gentleman from his name is Warren Buffett. Mm-hmm. For like $38 billion or something. But I don't know if it went down yet. But again, he's preying on a company that has this dark hole where they're paying out the largest ever in the U.S. of $4.4 billion. I don't know how many years that's stretched out, but they built these fences up in the mid-'60s, right, around it. That's all they did. That's all they did. So it leaches into the river. Well, I mean, sooner or later, the monster's going to raise its head. I mean, and it didn't here. I would thankfully, because there's a lot of people that live in the northeastern Illinois area. I don't, but I just stumbled upon that accidentally. That was no, I don't need. West Chicago's a nice little community, but people die around it from cancer on higher numbers on a regular basis, and they're just hoping it doesn't escape from there. But 8,000 a year, putting your nice little, picket fence out and house, that just means you make a good wage, but you're around a place that is extremely infected with, double, what do they call it, double platinum, like they use for shells, say, in wars, right? Yes. I mean, and this stuff is leaking into the city. Well, it is what it is. But most people don't. Okay, you're from Milwaukee, right?
Right.
Milwaukee used to build everything for everybody.
Yeah, it was the go-to place.
Equipment,
everything came out.
It was the go-to place.
Yeah. It was central hub.
Right. Well, from construction to everything.
Yeah.
Now it's only 600,000, but other cities have fared worse, obviously, as far as losing people, from Chicago to Detroit to St. Louis. Anyway, I consider Milwaukee a decent place myself.
Oh yeah, I have no issue with it. And I may sound biased.
You're going to have problems with people. You're going to have problems with people no matter what city you live in.
Because,
you is. People, right. It's life, survival is part of life, but we made it more important than everything. We covered up in our churches with lies. We covered up in our, back in the late 70s, Briggs and Stratton wanted to go on strike. Well, now they're pretty much entirely automated. They may have about 80 workers in there to do things that the robotics, they haven't figured out how to program the robots to do what they want them to do yet. That day will come. But they used to have 900 people in that place, now 80. Well, and where are they going to go to work, dude? Where are they going to go to work?
Right.
Next door to them, you got Harley Davidson. Yeah. A.O. Smith they're making hot water heaters, and they're doing a good job of it. But if it wasn't for that, they'd be done. They make chassis yet for a solid workforce, which everybody needs. Everybody, black, white, yellow, red, everybody needs. Because not everybody can be a doctor. Not everybody can be a lawyer. I was never any good in school, But if you're good in school, fine. Go for the doctor. Go for the sales manager. That's fine, but that's not all of us. Not everybody is good in school. It's just cold-hard facts. So those jobs are becoming less and less. What are they going to do? What are these people going to do to survive? And that's where the connection between Bogdanov and his the family that runs into him accidentally one day while he's just walking down the street, and he just runs into them. I'm trying to find her name. Please cut this off. I got to find her name. Here, where am I?
Okay, I'll pause it. Okay.
He runs, Paul Bogdanov, he runs into Eddie and Charity Jefferson, and they're in their early 70s, and they talk and they have they give him some pie, and he has some tea to drink along with it. But the issue comes to his 38-year-old son. They have 3 other children, two girls who've done very well for themselves. But this poor guy, DeMarco, just can't find his way. He almost made it with Paper Machine Company. They're up around Brown Deer area. They let him go because he had some words with the owner. And the owner just, cut him loose. And he's driving a box truck, so he can't get anywhere. Well, Paul used to work with Evinrude, which no longer is in Milwaukee. They moved to Sturtevant, which is outside of Race.
Mm-hmm.
And it's high tech now. They opened up in 2003, and they do very well. They're not up with Mercury. Mercury lights ahead of everybody in that world, but they still make a decent motor and outboard motor, and he's trying to get in there. And it just goes to show, Paul wants to help. Paul, he's not going to do a bunch of push-ups for you and stand on his head, but white people have not treated African Americans very well. That's obvious. Okay. Historically, I state that in the book several times, not just big issues, but little issues. The problem with and this is what you, I, and everybody have to change. And the sad thing is, we just rather repeat the history in the past and continue this. Look who we elect. This is the greatest country in the world. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going anywhere, all right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But look who we elect.
Yeah, it's like we do this to ourselves on purpose for some reason.
Better spiritually. Yes, we expect the people on top to change, and they're not going to. We have to change. I'm not saying getting out and marching like the Vietnam War and all that, because what does that result?
No, it hasn't.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, it hasn't brought any much of a change, and
because you can't change based on trying to. Right, you can't change based on. But we keep doing this. It's not going to work. We had Father Grappy march for Vietnam. He died of a heart attack in '84.
Yes.
He became a bus driver, and he tried. He got the union set up, and then he had a heart attack and died in 1984. But he married, and when he got out of the priesthood, he married a nun, and and his family. Paul starts to outgrow his family, and usually it's the other way around. When you get old, 83 years old, especially males. Women, they can live to be 100 easy, But males, now, pretty much when work ends, especially in his generation, because my grandfather was this way. He was dead within 2 years after because they never. They are. It's always about where they went to work, bringing bread home for the table. And my grandfather, Edward Schoedl, he never had a great job. He had a job that was paid enough to get by. We're talking Racine, Wisconsin here. Mm-hmm. Racine is not getting better. It just stays the same. It doesn't grow. It doesn't shrink. It stays about 80,000.
It's definitely been consistently the same. So it's quite interesting city.
From there, no.
It's quite interesting city. It is, So.
Go ahead.
No,
it is. But you got FC Johnson, Case. They're notorious for laying people off. They're owned by Tenneco out of Houston area. Racine just is never going to come back. They did a beautiful job on, in the early 80s, mid 80s, sandblasting the cream brick and their old German, businesses. And that's beautiful. But there's, what comes in, small little warehouses, the square footage is small because nobody's there with money. Enough on that. But this.
You're dropping off.
Power that drives everything. Okay. Money that drives everything. There's going to be a lot of people left out, not just the homeless, a lot of people. And then they're going to be the next in line to be homeless. And this is obvious. I walked outside, there's like 24,000 homeless. No, it's big. There's a lot more than that.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Well, Chicago back in the 80s was 37,000 when Mayor Washington was in power. But I think they're more truthful back then. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to scare anybody. You know. And then how about Milwaukee's kind of doing pretty. You know, it's not good. It's not like New York City, obviously, but. It's proven that even the hospitals can't handle this because they cater to people with insurance. Well, a lot of people don't have insurance. And again, that gets back to the poor people. In the end, the man gets his job. Well, he's in a second interview. And he gives a call to Paul, but Paul's not there. His girlfriend picks up the phone. And she tells Paul about it. All Paul did is put a good word in for him. He didn't do anything. Miss Kozlowski took the call. That's his girlfriend, and everything went fine. I'll give you the premise of my book in a nutshell. It's not just about survival, because even the people are doing better than Paul. They're vindictive. They're his children were now in their mid to late 50s or late 40s. One's mid 50s, the other's late 40s. Diane and Deborah, but they're always trying to secure their marriage by we need to move out. All of the children are going to be out of the house. My youngest, Jonathan, is leaving at 18 to be an engineer, and I mean, all this conniving and all this conspiring. This is the real problem in the world. I don't know if this is opinion. It is. Why can't you be upfront and tell your husband, okay, we want to move out. I want to move outside in a very small house. This house is too big for me to deal with anymore. All the children are gone. She has 4. They're all gone. So, can we not move into a smaller area, like Sullivan, Wisconsin, Fredonia, small farm communities, and just tell them the truth.
Yeah, I don't know what's that all about, and you see that so many times, and that's how so many marriages end up in divorce, or many spouses end up killing the other spouse. That'd be the worst, the extreme end of it.
Anyway, she moves on. Now she wants to move. Deborah wants to move in a smaller community. And she's afraid of losing her husband, because he's making all this money. He could do, she's scheming, I mean, it never ends. It never ends. And people with money are just one step away from falling down in this game, as poor people are. Because, Mr. Bierman is a breadwinner, and she's just, there to appease him. Is that any different than the king and queen, or, poor people out where I'm from, Landon, Wisconsin, a little town of 1,000 people, in these old A-frame, 120-year-old houses? It's the same. It's the same. And we can't even admit this, dude.
Yeah,
we can't admit this.
Yeah,
Why?
No one
Why not? Everybody sucks at this game.
Yeah.
Right. Because then you'll be left behind. You'll be, ostracized by the community. Well, the community is false then, okay? The community is just as weak as the lowest person in society, the lowest fabric, whatever that is. Paez would be a guy who's holding on to his money, buried under his bed, a loner type person. They're considered the lowlifes, but it just shows more with them than it does with a guy wearing a suit and taking his family to church. It just doesn't. But it is no different. He hasn't connected, and it's obvious. And the family, have they connected? It's up to them. They know the answer to that. But you can't. You can't shame anybody into telling the truth. Just let them tell the truth without any preconceived notions of what you're going to do if they tell you the truth. That's how America exists. That's how Sierra Leone exists. That's how they all exist.
Yes.
Yes. And we knew this when we were kids, though, dude. You know, I think that's the point of my book. I knew this when I was a child. But you're crazy, you know. Well, then you go and by the time you're a teenager, you get lost, and you do drugs or drink or sex, whatever it is, you know, stealing, vandalism, graffiti. You know, I mean, it hasn't changed. It's the same. When I was a kid, and that's a long time ago, I'm almost 60 years old. It's the same today, and the kids are sitting in the house. Well, obviously now with coronavirus, nobody's going out. But I mean, playing video games, and then that's it. I mean, playing video games 10 hours a day during a school. you know, going to midnight playing these games. You know, you know, when this ends, whenever this virus ends, and I would think it's going to be a while, you're going to see the same again. It's all going to go back to the same because people don't want their children to become emotionally connected for whatever reason, because probably they've never been able to. But why don't you let your children grow up? I think that's the point of my book. The Chinaman, Ha Chen, the Chinese man,
mm-hmm.
He wants his two daughters to speak Chinese. Mandarin is a teacher in Oconomowoc. He wants to get them there, but that's going to cost money to move. Oconomowoc is not a cheap place to live. So he wants to sell this little device to an OEM, you know, an oil filter. The other one's becoming old. It's 17 years up on its marketability, so he's going to come up with his own, and he's practicing it on a place in Menominee Falls. So Ha Chen wants that move because in his job, he's only going to make $50,000, $60,000, and that's going to be it. He needs to make more if he wants to buy a nice house. You know how people are. Yeah. Even if you come from Shanghai, China, which is obviously the largest city in the world, number one. Number two, it's poor. Okay. Yeah. You know, right. But he wants his kids to have what he couldn't let his, you know, what can his children do over in China? I mean, as far as trying to find work and things, here they have a much better chance. And I guess that is what's great about the United States is we have that opportunity. And yes, we may be lazy, but everybody who gets there becomes lazy right along with us. And bocce ball is another thing that I put in the book with Paul. That's how he connects with his grandson, Tommy. Tommy's 25. He got a philosophy major. He didn't want to teach, so he can't find work that's, you know, fulfilling. He just finds, you know, survival jobs in warehouses. So he's doing that as, you know, he's a kind of a drinker and a party type person. And his friends party right along with him, but he can't get out of it. You know, he shows up for a family gathering and drinks too much and throws up. That's not going to happen often if you want to look at that from most people's standpoint, but it happens, you know. I think he's just, you know, now that I reflect back, I think he's just hating on the family, and that he has to have, you know, any responsibility to them because he's yet unsure of why he dislikes himself. He knows that much. He smokes a lot of pot. In California, he could do it whenever he wanted, but he smokes a lot of pot. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He doesn't know how he's going to get ahead. His father rejects him because he is the person he is. He's not the engineer type. His father probably could help him find work. But how can a philosophy major, equate to engineering? It's just not going to happen. So he's gonna be on his own, because again, all the family can really offer him, if they accept him, is survival. There's no love. It's just duty and honor, and love comes in if you succeed at that. Well, what if you don't?
Right.
1 out of 3 are not going to succeed, right? Well, so what are you going to do? Throw him outside because, oh, no, he can't pay his bills, so we don't want to move him back in the house. So we're going to keep him at I'm really talking about me here. This happened to me.
Okay.
But anyway, they just want to keep you at arm's length, because you're not going to be able to support a family and all this, and then you end up like me. But I don't hate them. I call them regularly. But that took a while. That took many years. So my father died, and I found out, and then they called back. But you're talking 8-9 years of no contact whatsoever. But we were able to see truth. So then why do we run from that? I guess that's the question. The book, the main question is, why do we keep doing this? It's people are no better or worse than the next person that walks in. They can put on an act and they'll, oh my God, you're a devout Christian. You honor your neighbor who's an Orthodox Jew. I'm talking back where I'm from. The story Roosevelt Park, or what is it? Roosevelt Street, right? But they call it Roosevelt Park.
Roosevelt,
something like that.
Roosevelt
Boulevard, yes,
Yep.
And it runs on a diagonal line
Yep.
right through where I'm talking about.
Yep, sure.
It's Sherman Park. Yeah, Sherman Park. I'm sorry. Sherman Park, yes. But nobody talks. The neighbors will talk because they have their children, but beyond that, they don't talk. They don't want to know anybody. I don't know if that's the way it is with what you've seen, but the Hasidic Jews, they don't hang around with anybody.
Oh no, I don't see that. No.
No, they're by themselves, but they're number one. They're number one because the Holocaust and all that, and a lot of the parishioners are from the Holocaust. They were there. There's 22,000 of them scattered throughout Milwaukee. Everybody needs to understand we're just human beings, okay? What happened to you was horrible, unforgivable, okay? But can't you have a heart and open your hand? Tolerance is not the answer. It isn't. It's just a way of just avoiding truth again. We're all the same. We all live and we die. And what do we know in these years? Facts. But that's not, none of us know anything really, right? I mean, okay, we know how to play, a game, how to cheat at it, but everybody knows we're cheating, but we cheat. Why? Because there's more of us that are the cheaters than there are the dummies who try to, go by the rules. I'm not just talking basketball, I'm talking life. There's more to life than any of us will ever know, because you can't, okay, I went through therapy, I did all that stuff. What you learn is you don't really know yourself 100%, no matter how, you're doing your what do you call it? You're doing your meditation, right?
Oh,
you're doing your meditation,
okay.
But yes, it's not going to get 100%, but you're never going to, because all knowledge is limited.
Yes.
You'll know your body 100 perhaps better. You'll know your mind will connect with your spirit, but as far as knowing yourself, that's never 100%. And that other people know you better, that know you, Well, you know that too, but you just don't want to deal with whatever they know about me, the negative stuff, right? Yeah, well, they got their own too. This is really what goes on with us. We stop and we let the negative go off our backs because they got their problems. You got your problems, I got mine. I go home to my house, you go home to your house, And that's all this world is. I mean, so nothing gets resolved, So we need to deal with our personal problems. Jobs, yeah, that's important. Don't get me wrong, this is. But when we don't deal with your personal issues, they become monsters as you get older. And I also write in the book, Paul's Russian descent. A couple of Stalinist stuff I throw in there because everybody's so enamored with Hitler and his sexy crimes. His was no better. China was no better. That's mentioned in the book. China, the stuff goes on is because we allow the leaders to have full power. It's not America per se, but it could be. It could be at one time. If things get worse, monetarily speaking, But in China's heart, under Mao Zedong, horrible. Stalin, horrible. But because we don't deal with these issues, only from a historical perspective, doing reports on, say the war effort, how many Russians were killed, how many were hidden deaths, how many deaths were hidden, all that stuff. But what does that resolve for today? If we don't resolve that in a present situation, we'll only get worse. We'll only get worse.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, Mark, you definitely.
How long is this? Is it? Yeah, I think that's enough, isn't it?
Yeah,
for now, because we're going to do 2 more of these.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Yeah. So
just at the end of this, I'd like to get your name, and then I'm going to write another book. I don't write books for the people who, they're flawed, they're this and that. That's from a survival viewpoint. How about what am I going to do about me? And I cannot do about another person, or I can only ask, and they can say yes, or they can say no.
Yes.
Maybe it's pretty much no, right? We can just sit around and, oh God, you come back to me with a yes, and then it's yes. I'm not playing the maybe game with you, right?
Right.
Yeah, because then you're setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for failure, because if people know they got that power over you, they're a lot of people just don't get better about life, do they? Get worse. Okay, I can speak for my relatives, watching them get older and older. Oh my God, dude. And they weren't even senile. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
They're just saying all these weird things, and oh God, dude, it's like, And then my dad says, because I was much younger, oh, they're just old. Well, I mean, you're gonna get old. Everybody's gonna get old, or we die before we get there. People just don't get better. You have, this thing about waiting for society to help you out. That is not going to happen, because what does that involve? Money. And so they're not going to help you.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you're so right.
It's so obvious. It's so obvious, dude. It's so fucking obvious. And then you got all the people around you. They act like, oh, that's because it's not part of their scheme.
Right.
And they want their scheme to prevail over you and everybody, because they want to isolate. Everything we tried, in this world has failed, and we keep doing the same thing because we're afraid of ourselves.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, none of us are special, bro. The thing about special, that stuff. If you're special, what does that mean? You're taking a lot of stuff from people behind the scenes, you know, like the ones you thought were so cool when you were young. Then you grow up and see them, and they're all, you know, because I'm older. Some of the people hit around 60, dude. They look like they're 90. You know, it's just, oof, what happened to you? Okay, that's enough. But do we reschedule, or this was a wonderful? I want to be more organized. My next one. I think next time I talk about the characters, because my characters are there's so many. There's, you know, 2 different families, and I really, you know, Paul Bogdanov, if I was gonna, yeah, he'd be the main character, but others were just as important as he was, because it delves into their lives, and like his grandson Tommy, wonderful. Tommy's a good dude. He's, you know, he can't smoke a lot of dope because he can't handle it, but all his friends are doing bags of it, you know, and here's it, because this was me, by the way. Here, you know, oh my God, oh, you know, I could stretch a bag out for a month. Remember, people are going through bags in a week, you know. It's like, how do these people, you know, when they get older, dude, you know, because then they're going to go to a harder drug, obviously, all the way up to heroin and everything in between. How do these people make it, dude? I mean, I could never make it at that game. But I know people, you know, just, oh, hey, let's keep going. Oh, no, you know what? I got to go. It was wonderful talking to you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you so much.
We should get next Friday. Yeah, it's, dude. Who can you talk to in this world? People just don't want to talk about reality, dude. Oh, well, you know, you're a manic depressive. Maybe you should go get some help. And then, yes, but what do we talk about? You know, the Bucks. I mean, they're great. Okay, and it looks like they're gonna. You know, I want this virus to continue because I don't want them to lose to the Lakers, bro. You know.
Yeah, that'd be
you know,
terrible.
The Lakers.
That'd be terrible.
They're picked to win because of. Yeah, I know it would be. They need another player, bro.
Yes, they
you
do.
know, they're counting too much on. Yeah, Middleton. He's gotten a lot better. I'll give him that. But you know, they need one more player. I don't know how can they get one? They don't even have a good draft pick. But you know.
Yeah,
dude, it's been 50 years.
I know, you know, and it seems hard to track people over here.
I know.
No matter what we do, you know, it's always hard to attract people this way.
It's right, because you're attracting young people, dude. They don't understand. Okay, California is great, and the only thing great about it is the weather. Okay, and it's got mountains, deserts, and the ocean. Yes. Hollywood is a joke. Who cares? Because it's such a small world. To get into that world, well, maybe you can make it if you know somebody. Other than that, you're going to be reading scripts for a while. You know, going to acting classes, and in the end? What do? You pay the teachers because there's just not a lot of jobs there. You know, I mean, it's a very small world, and they get a beautiful young people in their late 20s that show up for that game. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, you have no idea. One out of 200 are going to make it. So you got about a 0.5% chance, you know, I mean, because everybody wants it. Yeah. You know, so if I were you, I'd think twice about if you thought about Hollywood, I'd think twice about it. You know
no, that's it. That's probably the laugh of my bucket list. Dude. You know, it's only a place to visit for me. You know, not somewhere to live. You know, or to put my
yeah, right. Because most of them don't live in the ones who succeeded at the game. Yeah, the handful stay in L.A. You know, like Tom Cruise and company. But most get the hell out and live where they came from. A lot of people like where they came from, you know. So say you got a job, you know, down here, you probably live somewhere else and you'll rent an apartment here, you know, and buy a house somewhere else.
Like that, the character that the guy that played the Hawk, Mark Russo, you know, is Russo?
Okay, I'll look him up.
Yeah, he's out of Wisconsin. He's still, you know, his family.
Yeah.
From here, so
Because
yeah,
the flip flops and the skateboards and the surfing, that's all great, but that's not a lot of people are very good at surfing. Number one, it's not easy. You watch it on TV; those guys and then do it all day long. It's not. Oh, we were so the young people are out there doing that all day long. They have it in high schools out this way, and not a lot of them. Several high schools, so they have competition. And if you're trying to get on a skateboard at 30, I don't think so, because your balance changes from youth to young, youth to 30. It changes, and your body's different. It's not the same, so it's going to be harder for you to get up on that board. It's not easy, dude. You can go down and watch them, and there's some that are wonderfully great, gifted, right? But most of them suck. They can't get up on their board. They're just out there to kill time. They're not. Most of them don't even get up on their boards. Huntington Beach, yes. Laguna Beach, which is a little more money involved, people with money. Most of those people can't get up on the boards. They're just out there to enjoy the ocean and, the sun and talk to people. So, yeah. Anyway, it was nice talking to you. I really look forward to the next one. Again, I'm going to focus on characters next. I got the African-American family. I got the white family, McDonald, actually two white families. The Chinese family, because those guys, they get pushed in school so hard. I was in South Korea for a year. Oh, my God, dude. Oh. And then the teachers can beat the kids because the parents allow it. Because the parents are enemies of the kids because they want the kids to get good grades. Well, there's not a lot of great, they're just like America. There's a limited amount of jobs, and I don't think Milwaukee caters to them, but the Koreans, New York City, Seattle, Portland, Oakland, and then down here, LA, San Diego, they're getting out of it, but the first generation, they have the same behaviors because that's all they knew back there in Korea, and real pushy people. And they get here, and Americans look at them like, "Oh, well, what's wrong? What's up with you?" So that's their way they're going to keep their jobs, right? And being pushy. Did you see the movie? What was that? Parasite?
No, I got to be honest with you. I did not see it. I think I might have seen it, but I can't
catch it on.
I might have seen it, but I can't remember it. To be
it
honest.
won all the awards. It won all the awards this year, like 5 awards. Best picture, best director, whatever else, best foreign film, and it's really done well because what they show about the poor and the rich and how it works, and all the real problem is that neither knows the skeletons of the other. And they just kind of, fall in there, in the middle of nowhere. They just kind of fall out, like when there's a guy down below in an old bomb shelter, which they didn't even know existed. The regular family didn't know existed.
Right.
And then they had a party and all murder breaks. It's just, dude, it's so real, though, dude. It's so real. Cowboys and Indians is the for the kids, the 9-year-old kid son, for his birthday was, Cowboys and Indians, and they thought he was weird because he saw somebody. He really did, but they didn't know they had a bomb shelter in the house. And then when his girlfriend gets murdered. Accidentally, because they're beating each other. The poor people were trying to appease the rich because the poor people are lying to the rich because they're all from the same family. They're giving each other jobs. Oh yeah, there's a chauffeur job opening up. Just go to that. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's well done. It's sick, but it can happen, because people don't really know anybody, I get along with my family fine, but from 2,200 miles, we got to let people in. If we're going to live around them, we got to let them in. Yeah. Because if you're just worried about a paycheck, you're going to do some bad things. If you're just worried about being on the top, you're going to do bad things by overlooking, just do what we want you to do. Well, what if it's not really right?
Right.
Like a job, right?
Right.
All right, I'll let you go. It was nice talking to you. I am coming out with another book, but that's through Page Publishing. I'm going to write another book too, and I'm probably going to go through these guys again. It's not about being creative or anything, dude. It's about being truthful. It's creative stuff. Well, you got to be creative too. I mean, you can't bore people to death, right? But
not at all.
No, but if you think creativity is the key, well, no. The key is that you're trying to let people know that they don't have to go around lying, because if that's what they're doing, they're really beating themselves up. They're not beating anybody else up, right? I mean, they're lying to themselves.
Exactly.
And who are they? Oh, I'm going to wait till I die. I'm going to take it with me to the grave. Well, isn't that the problem? Let it go, And if people don't love you, well, then you know it, and then unfortunately, you'll be back to square one. But, because now I know why people in my family stayed married forever. They're afraid of death of being lonely, so they just stay married. They never got divorced. They lived to be, 60-year marriages. If you don't... The signs were all there that nobody liked each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can believe that. Well, you definitely have dropped some value bombs on me today, and I bet when people hear this back, they're gonna be like, man, this guy's definitely genuine and he knows his stuff.
All we have to tell them is nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Okay, physically, yeah, okay, but up in the head, no. Yeah. Oh, if I play this game, that game's already been played 50 billion times before we step foot on the earth. Okay. Oh, but it's unique. It's new. No, it's not. No, and that's what's good about reading, because you can't really, you can't know everything. Other parts of the world, yeah, they're worse politically, yes, but they're not maybe so bad emotionally. As the United States seems to be. I talked to a couple American Indians because they're working. I work at a job site they're on. They're just like, dude, they're just like us, bro. They want the same things. They're scared of the same shit, It's just they were born into the world as an American Indian, right? I mean, that doesn't mean they're any different. It just means their style of living was different from the white man's and the Hispanics coming out the West. We can't relive the past. It's over. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But you don't have to keep doing this.
Not at all.
If the guys, if we on the bottom would do what we want to do and be nice to people, the world would change overnight. No political institution is going to change anything. I've been around 60 years, dude. I haven't seen any political. And the more I read about the past, FDR, he was successful because of a major war, okay? It wasn't because of his, the New Deal or Social Security or any of that, It was because of a war. And what happens to those soldiers when they come back? They're wounded, or they're wounded in the head, and they're all fucked up. All of them. The ones dropping the bombs from 40,000 feet up, you think they didn't know what they're doing to people in Italy? Fuck yeah. And a lot of these people come back and they're just psychos. He wasn't a perfect human being, you do what he did. To see how, we're just human beings, dude.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much,
probably
Mark.
next Friday.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful weekend. Happy Easter.
Yeah, same to you, Mark, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, we'll continue on probably next Friday.
Absolutely, good brother. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye now. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mark Schoedl. He is the author of Beneath the Crimson Maples. Make sure you do check out that book. It is available on Amazon. Feel free to replay this recording back over and over again. Share it with your friends, and of course, frenemies. So we want your frenemies to become your friends. So I'm your host, Marcus Hart. Until next time, many blessings, peace, and lots of love.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Global Summit House podcast. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or Google Play. Connect with us at globalsummithouse.com. See you on the next episode.